Morning, traders. Today is Friday. Fridays are always interesting days in the crypto space, and today is absolutely no different. So we started this morning with some major growth and expansion, and it's one of the things that we were expecting. Let me show you what my current position is and my stand. I'm seeing such diverse change in all of the coins that I'm actually going to be changing my trade philosophy and some of the core things that I do for the next couple days, because it's gotten a little bit weird. And so let me show you what's going on. One of the things that we're seeing, I'm now watching a lot more altcoins. I've actually been studying them for a while, looking for some kind of pattern to show up that looks like we could start investing in other coins besides Bitcoin. And so this week I went ahead into Litecoin. Litecoin went from 122 when I started to buy, 122 up to 150. Huge gain in a very short amount of time. So Litecoin's looking pretty good, and Bitcoin Cash has just gone crazy, exponential growth. It's gone insane. I still don't trust Bitcoin Cash for me to invest in it. It's just there's not a pattern there. It's even though we've got some pretty extreme growth and it's probably going to get some attention, I don't see a pattern that I can invest in that couldn't potentially lose everything if I start investing in it. We just don't see a predictable future for it yet. I don't anyway. And then on Bitcoin, this is what's going on. Here's my chart. This is the chart that you guys should be following if you're following me. One of the things that we were looking for it to bounce a couple times against this to potentially go down to 76 again. And then once it breaks free out of this line, then we have a clear path to move up back into the $9,000 and $10,000 range. So let me zoom it back over here. Let me see which one I want to show you. I actually want to show you my Bitcoin USD right there. This is the one that is the most intriguing right here. We can see that this black lines are the downward trajectory since January that we've been following, and right now we're right at the peak of that point. And so what I told you guys I was going to do was, as soon as it gets close to the peak of this, I was going to go ahead and sell, which I did about $100 ago. I'm 100% in cash right now, and it's now at this tipping point. And so here's the very likely scenario. The very likely scenario is it's going to bounce off of this because there's at least three major resistance points that we're looking at. Number one is that we are pretty close to the RSI is really high. It's almost 60, which means we're definitely on our way potentially down. We almost never get that at least since the downward trend. We don't really peak higher than 60. That's been our high as far as buyers and sellers go. So as you can see, we're right there at the top right now. With that being the high and us being at the bouncing against this downward trend line and bouncing against the 1 year trend line underneath the trend line, we've got three major resistance points. If we break those 3 points, if we can get up inside this range of $9,200, break $9,000, $9,200, then we're probably very, very likely in a clear path, huge buy signal to get back in if it breaks and goes up. But everything else is telling us that this is a resistance point, and we're going to see it come back down to 74. That's what all the charts are saying. We're also, one of the other things that we see is there's something a little bit weird going on with Bitcoin, and it makes me a little bit cautious, more cautious than I've been as to buying Bitcoin. Most of you guys know my philosophy is to hold on to Bitcoin for the long run, because in the long run, we're looking at it to go 20, 30, 40, and even some people are saying $100,000. I'm thinking $70,000 to $100,000 is not unreasonable for the end of the year, but with my philosophy being, no matter whether it goes up or down, if you're holding on to Bitcoin, you're in the safest place to be. What's happened in the last week or two makes me change my philosophy. I think that with what's going on in the marketplace and what looks like big players are getting in and manipulating the price, you see it go sideways action, and then it takes a quick dip, and then it bounce back up again, and then a little more sideways action, and every 10 hours or so, maybe every 20 hours in some cases, it does this weird thing. It's just going sideways, 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 which means it's one of two things, because we have never seen this in the history. In the last 5 years of looking at charts, we haven't seen this kind of consistent pattern. One of two things is going on. Either some really big players are getting in and manipulating the market toward the upward swing, and some of the big players could actually be the trade groups themselves, like GDAX and Bitfinex and some of these other guys. There's a real strong possibility that they could be manipulating some of their own trades. If it was in the real trading world, it would be illegal, but because Bitcoin doesn't have any restrictions or regulations yet, they could actually be doing this themselves to continue to incite people to trade on the market values. We could probably make a whole video on the potential reasons and the people that could possibly be manipulating, but it looks like manipulation, and because of that, I would rather be in cash more often than in Bitcoin, because I don't know if their manipulation is going to be for their benefit in the long term to continue to grow it, or they're in the long term to continue to sell it short. In other words, they want to get it to a certain point and then do the very same thing in the opposite so that they get their profits out and just play with the market. Because I'm seeing my normal pattern over the last year change, I am backing up out of Bitcoin and holding onto cash. And now I'm looking for trades to come to me. In other words, I'm looking for scenarios just like today where we see everything's at a high, everything's at its new high, it's oversold. In other words, it's probably on its way back down. We're going to start, it's overbought. We're at the high of the RSI on almost every case. We're high on the hourly, we're high on the 4-hour, and we're high on the daily, which means every sign is telling us that it's on its way back down. So I've sold out all of my Bitcoin. I'm going to wait to find the RSI to move back down in the 30s again, which again I was saying around $7,400 approximately. Once it gets back down to this low again, I'll go ahead and get back in, and I'm not necessarily going to get back in with Bitcoin. That's the other strategy, is I'm really liking the swings that I'm seeing with Litecoin. Litecoin's got much higher swings. We're at 20-30% in some of these, just this huge dip that we saw go from 226 all the way down to 109, and now we're swinging back up potentially to another 200 mark. It's looking pretty good for the bigger swing. So stay tuned. I will be posting stuff on my new YouTube channel, which is basically the free stuff. Some of the bigger announcements and some of the bigger trainings I'll be placing on my YouTube channel. The specific stuff for dailies will go out to the membership, and then the training calls and all of the more advanced stuff will be going out to the pro Telegram group. So trade smart, trade with your head, not with the news. See you on the next one.